Hi. Woo.
That panic cry from a friendly sea monster wasn't just Saturday morning entertainment, it was a gooey fever dream wrapped in childhood wonder, production chaos, and latex madness. One episode had merged entire TV universes. One costume malfunction,
Be calling at a time like this. Get the phone here.
it literally caught fire and burned down sets. And one theme song, let's just say the rock stars weren't part of the original target audience. These are 15 weird facts about Sigmund and the sea monsters.
Dinner will be at 6:30. See you then, Sheriff. Oh, boy. Oh, hey, Johnny.
But wait until the end, because the bonus fact, it's about how college kids turned this underwater disaster into something completely unexpected. Grab your snorkel. Time to dive into the beautiful chaos.
Fact 1. Billy Barty was cast as the revolutionary sea monster who changed television forever.
Johnny, where do you think's the best place for us to keep him? The hideout?
When the Krofft brothers cast Billy Barty as Sigmund, they weren't just hiring an actor, they were recruiting a 3'9" pioneer. Barty had founded Little People of America in 1957 and spent decades fighting for representation in Hollywood. Behind the latex and seaweed costume was a performer who had appeared in dozens of films and television shows, bringing genuine acting chops to what could have been just another rubber suit gag. Barty transformed Sigmund from a simple monster character into something that felt authentically alive. His decades of professional experience elevated every scene, proving that great casting can make even the strangest concepts work. The show's heart came from Barty's commitment to making Sigmund genuinely lovable despite the ridiculous premise. Fact 2. Season 2 introduced a chaos genie living in a shell.
I am the most fantastic.
Season 2 introduced Rip Taylor as Sheldon the Sea Genie, and the show immediately became 10 times more chaotic. Taylor, famous for throwing confetti and his manic comedy style, lived inside a magical conch shell and granted wishes with his signature over-the-top energy. Every scene with Sheldon felt like a variety show had crashed into an underwater sitcom. Taylor's improvisational skills meant that his scenes often went completely off script, with the other actors struggling to keep up with his rapid-fire delivery and unpredictable physical comedy. The genie character was written specifically to showcase Taylor's unique brand of controlled mayhem. His appearances turned quiet beach scenes into explosive comedy moments that kids remembered for decades. Fact 3. The Wicked Witch of Oz became the suspicious neighbor next door.
I bet it gets Gillian before he was on the island.
Margaret Hamilton, who had terrified audiences as the Wicked Witch of the West in The Wizard of Oz, appeared as the suspicious neighbor, Mrs. Eddles. Hamilton brought the same piercing intensity that had made her famous, except now she was investigating strange noises from a beach house instead of chasing Dorothy. Her casting was brilliant. Stunt work kids recognized her instantly and felt that same delicious fear they experienced watching The Wizard of Oz. Hamilton played the role completely straight, treating the ridiculous sea monster premise with the same dramatic weight she brought to every performance. The juxtaposition of her serious acting style against the show's absurd comedy created genuinely memorable television moments that bridged generations of viewers. Fact 4. This show created the first television multiverse decades before Marvel.
We're going to invite Big Daddy to a family reunion.
Decades before Marvel made cinematic universes mainstream, the episode Puffin' Stuff Drops In officially merged Sigmund and the Sea Monsters with the HR Puffin' Stuff universe. This wasn't just a guest appearance, it was a legitimate crossover event that acknowledged both shows existed in the same psychedelic reality. The Krofft brothers created what might be television's first children's multiverse, complete with consistent character rules and shared mythology. Both shows maintained their distinct visual styles while acknowledging each other's existence. The crossover worked because both series shared the same commitment to colorful chaos and musical mayhem. This early experiment in franchise building proved that audiences would accept expanded fictional universes decades before Hollywood made it standard practice. Fact 5. One episode became a three-dimensional Saturday morning adventure.
Okay, Minutemen, let's get to bed.
I must ride at dawn.
The episode Paul Revere Rides Again was recreated as a Viewmaster reel, complete with the iconic red viewers and clicking stereoscopic storytelling. This wasn't just merchandising, it was proof that the show's visual madness could work in any format. The Viewmaster version included all the key story beats while adapting the narrative for the three-dimensional slide format. Kids could experience Sigmund's adventures through those familiar circular reels, making the show feel more interactive and immersive. The multimedia approach demonstrated how the Krofft brothers understood that their colorful, fantasy-driven content could transcend television. The Viewmaster tie-in showed remarkable ambition for a Saturday morning show, treating young audiences as sophisticated consumers who deserved multiple ways to experience their favorite stories. Fact 6. Sigmund became the Kroffts' first show to win a renewal victory.
Hey, what are you doing in our kitchen?
What have you got no sack?
Despite creating iconic shows like HR, Puff'n'Stuff, and Land of the Lost, Sigmund achieved something unprecedented for the Krofft brothers. It got renewed for a second season. After years of one-season wonders, this gooey sea monster adventure became their first show to survive the network execution chamber. The renewal meant 29 total episodes of underwater chaos, giving the characters time to develop beyond their initial concept. Network executives were initially skeptical about the show's bizarre premise and low-budget aesthetic, but strong ratings and positive audience response convinced them to continue. The second season allowed the writers to introduce new characters like Sheldon the Sea Genie and explore more complex storylines. This success gave the Krofft brothers the credibility to pitch even stranger concepts to networks. Fact 7. The monster costumes were made of literal garbage.
Oh, shalom. Anybody home?
Costume designer Oliver Sublette constructed Sigmund and his family from dripping seaweed, mop heads, and latex goo that made them look like they'd been dredged up from a polluted harbor. The costumes were so authentically disgusting that they felt genuinely aquatic in the most unsettling way possible. Sublette's design philosophy embraced the idea that sea monsters should look like they actually lived underwater, complete with algae, barnacles, and mysterious dripping substances. The materials were deliberately chosen to create texture and movement that would read well on camera while maintaining the characters' otherworldly appearance. These weren't polished Hollywood monster suits, they were walking disasters that somehow became iconic. The low-budget aesthetic worked because it felt handmade and authentic rather than slick and commercial. Fact 8. The production continued even when the set literally caught fire.
Yeah, we're fine, thanks. Tonight?
During filming, a stage light caught fire, creating an actual inferno that destroyed key props and sets. The production didn't shut down, they adapted, scaling back set design for the remainder of the series. The fire forced them to become more creative with less, proving that sometimes real disaster improves the final product. Instead of rebuilding elaborate sets, the crew focused on simpler designs that emphasized character interaction over spectacle. The accident actually helped the show's pacing as scenes became tighter and more dialogue-driven. Cast members later joked that the fire was the most realistic special effect the show ever produced. The incident became part of the show's legend, with crew members sharing stories about the day Sigmund literally went up in flames. Fact 9. The show used constant music instead of laughter tracks.
Isn't that gonna be terrific? I could hardly wait to see him.
While most 70s sitcoms relied on canned laughter, Sigmund chose constant music instead of laugh track. Every scene was saturated with pop songs, weird jingles, and scene-specific compositions that turned each episode into a musical fever dream. The sound design was so relentless that silence became the most surprising element in any scene. Music supervisor Charles Fox created original songs that matched the show's psychedelic aesthetic while remaining catchy enough for kids to remember. The musical approach meant that emotional beats were enhanced by soundtrack rather than artificial audience response. This decision gave the show a unique rhythm that set it apart from other children's programming. The constant musical underlining created a dreamlike atmosphere that perfectly matched the show's surreal visual style. Fact 10. The monster costumes were too heavy for kids to wear.
No, it's okay.
We've had some great times together.
Despite being created for children, most of the monster suits were so massive and heavy that only trained adult performers could operate them. Kids couldn't physically handle the costumes that were supposedly designed to entertain them. The irony was beautiful a children's show that required professional stunt performers just to get the characters moving around the set. Each costume weighed over 50 pounds when fully assembled, complete with the dripping latex and seaweed attachments that made them look authentic. The weight problem meant that monster scenes had to be carefully choreographed to prevent performer exhaustion or injury. Adult actors inside the suits had to develop special techniques for walking, sitting, and gesturing that would read as natural on camera. The physical demands of wearing these costumes became part of the show's behind-the-scenes legend. Fact 11, a board game recreated the show's heart-pounding anxiety.
I can't do anything. I'm just a failure.
Milton Bradley created a Sigmund and the Sea Monsters board game where players had to sneak Sigmund back to the clubhouse while avoiding the Ooze family. The game recreated the core tension of the television series, turning family game night into the same heart-pounding anxiety that drove the show's best episode. Players moved around a beach-themed board, drawing cards that either helped Sigmund reach safety or alerted his monstrous family to his location. The game proved that the show's emotional stakes could work in any format, not just television. Kids who played the board game often reported the same stress they felt watching Sigmund nearly get caught on television. The game's success demonstrated how effectively the show had established its central conflict and character relationships in audiences' minds. Fact 12. A theme park attraction lasted only 6 months.
But you ought to hear their bark. Did I say that?
In 1976, the World of Sid and Marty Krofft indoor amusement park opened in Atlanta with massive ambitions and a Sigmund-themed attraction. The entire park collapsed after just 6 months, but for that brief window, fans could experience the show's psychedelic chaos in 3 dimensions. The Sigmund attraction featured animatronic sea monsters and an underwater cave environment that recreated the show's beach setting. Despite the park's quick failure, visitors remembered the immersive Sigmund experience as one of the highlights. The park's ambitious scope included attractions based on multiple Krofft properties, but the Sigmund section was particularly memorable for its attention to detail. The brief existence of this theme park attraction became part of the show's cult legacy, with fans who visited during those 6 months becoming lifelong devotees. Fact 13. 90s rock stars embraced this Saturday morning theme song.
Well, good luck if you have to handcuff him. He has 8 wrists. Bye.
The show's theme song was so infectious that alternative rock band Tripping Daisy covered it for the 1995 compilation album Saturday Morning, Cartoon's Greatest Hits. The band's grunge-influenced version proved that the song's manic energy could work in rock clubs as well as Saturday morning living room. Lead singer Tim DeLaughter later said the song's weird lyrics and catchy melody made it perfect for their psychedelic rock style. The cover introduced Sigmund to a completely new generation of fans who discovered the show through 90s alternative music culture. Other bands on the compilation included the Ramones and Matthew Sweet, placing Sigmund's theme song alongside legitimate rock anthems. This musical validation helped establish the show's reputation as genuinely cool rather than just nostalgic kitsch. Fact 14. Disney trained child actors went rogue for this sea monster show.
If Sigmund acts this way on Halloween, we'll have to tie him up for the 4th of July.
Johnny Whitaker and Scott Colden, who played the human boys protecting Sigmund, had just appeared in Disney's Mystery in Dracula's Castle, 1973, before joining the sea monster chaos. The Kroffts essentially poached Disney-trained child actors and unleashed them into something far weirder than anything the Mouse House would have approved. Both boys brought legitimate acting experience and professional training to roles that could have been played by any kids. Their Disney background gave them the skills to handle the show's combination of comedy and genuine emotion. The contrast between their clean-cut Disney image and the show's psychedelic weirdness created an interesting tension that enhanced the series' appeal. Their professional experience helped ground the show's most absurd moments in genuine human emotion and believable friendship. Fact 15. College students decades later started a dorm room revolution.
He brought 2 other big octopi with him.
Decades after cancellation, Sigmund and the Sea Monsters found its most devoted audience in college dorms across America. Students who were toddlers during its original run discovered the show through reruns and bootlegs, embracing its psychedelic visuals, absurd humor, and low-budget charm as perfect late-night viewing. The show that was designed for Saturday morning conquered Thursday night dorm parties instead. College students appreciated the series' commitment to weirdness and its refusal to take itself seriously. The handmade aesthetic and obvious budget limitations became selling points rather than flaws for audiences raised on slick, high-production television. This unexpected cult following proved that authentic creativity and genuine heart could transcend generational boundaries and production value. The show's college popularity helped establish its reputation as a legitimate cultural artifact. Bonus fact: in those same college dorms where students were discovering Sigmund's underwater madness, something unexpected was happening. The show wasn't just entertainment, it was becoming a shared language for a generation that appreciated beautiful disaster. Students who grew up on slick, high-budget productions found something authentic in the show's gooey chaos and unapologetic weirdness. Sigmund and the Sea Monsters didn't just survive its own production, disastrous it thrived because of them. The Krofft brothers created something that shouldn't have worked. Costumes made of literal garbage. Sets that caught fire. Monster suits too heavy for children. Music that never stopped. And yet, this beautiful disaster refused to sink. Maybe that's the secret to lasting art sometimes. The chaos is the point. Sometimes the disasters become the magic. Sometimes the shows that shouldn't work are the ones that refuse to die. What's your favorite piece of 70s children's television that was absolutely insane but somehow perfect? Drop it in the comments, because if Sigmund and the Sea Monsters taught us anything, it's that the weirdest ideas often make the most unforgettable memories. Help! Help! Somebody help me! Yeah, Sigmund, we heard you, and 30 years later, we're still listening.